Carly Simon created songs that became part of people's lives. Tracks like You're So Vain and Nobody Does It Better made her one of the most recognizable voices in music. Her career earned major awards, sold millions of records, and inspired generations of listeners. But after decades in the spotlight, something unusual happened. She slowly disappeared from public life. There were no farewell concerts, no dramatic announcement, and no headline-making scandal. The interviews stopped. The performances became rare. New music no longer arrived, and fans everywhere began asking the same question: where had Carly Simon gone? For years, there was no clear answer. Rumors spread, but Carly chose to remain silent. The mystery only grew as time passed. Then, after years away from the public eye, she finally decided it was time to speak. Instead of making a grand comeback, she shared a deeply personal message. It wasn't filled with dramatic promises or attention-grabbing headlines. It was calm, honest, and written with the same thoughtful style that had always defined her songwriting. She explained that she had never stopped living and she had never stopped creating. While the world believed she had vanished, she was quietly facing challenges that changed her daily life. During those years, she received a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, something that forced her to rethink everything. She also underwent surgery for skin cancer on her face. These health battles made public appearances much more difficult, but they did not take away her love for music. Even while dealing with these struggles, Carly continued writing songs whenever she had the strength. Some days, she could work for hours, while other days even simple tasks felt impossible. Instead of giving up, she collected melodies, lyrics, and ideas one piece at a time. Those small moments of creativity slowly became something much bigger. Over the years, they turned into a brand new album, created not in the middle of fame and applause, but during one of the hardest chapters of her life. That album is called Comes in Waves. For Carly, it is more than another record. It represents hope, determination, and the belief that creativity can survive even during life's most difficult moments. Rather than calling it a comeback, she sees it as proof that she never truly stopped being an artist. To understand why this story has touched so many people, we have to go back to the very beginning. Long before the awards, the hit songs, and the sold-out concerts, there was a young girl growing up in a remarkable family, searching for her own voice and discovering a talent that would eventually change music forever. Carly Simon was born into a family where books, music, and creativity were part of everyday life. Her father helped build one of America's most successful publishing companies, while her mother was deeply involved in music and social causes. Their home was filled with talented people, thoughtful conversations, and endless encouragement to explore ideas. From the outside, it seemed like the perfect place to grow up, but Carly often felt she had to find her own identity among so many gifted family members. She wasn't the only child with remarkable talent. Her sisters also built successful careers in music, and excellence was almost expected in the Simon household. Being surrounded by so much ability inspired Carly, but it also made her question whether she could ever stand out on her own. She admired her family, yet she wanted people to recognize her for her own voice rather than the famous name she was born into. As a young girl, Carly faced another challenge that few people knew about. She struggled with a stutter, making everyday conversations frustrating and sometimes embarrassing. Speaking in front of others wasn't easy, and there were moments when she couldn't express herself the way she wanted. But something amazing happened whenever she began to sing. The hesitation disappeared. Music gave her confidence that ordinary conversation never could, and singing became the place where she finally felt completely free. That discovery changed everything. Songs became more than entertainment, they became her way of communicating with the world. She poured her thoughts, emotions, and experiences into lyrics that felt honest and deeply personal. Instead of hiding her feelings, she learned to transform them into music that others could relate to. It was a gift that would eventually connect her with millions of people around the world. As she grew older, Carly spent countless hours improving her skills. She wasn't chasing fame overnight. She simply wanted to become a better songwriter and performer. Every new idea, every melody, and every lyric helped shape the artist she would become. The confidence she lacked as a child slowly grew stronger with every song she wrote. When she finally entered the music industry, people quickly noticed there was something different about her. She didn't try to sound like anyone else. Her voice carried warmth, honesty, and emotion that listeners immediately believed. Instead of writing songs that felt distant or fictional, she sang about real feelings, real relationships, and real experiences. That authenticity became one of her greatest strengths. Success didn't arrive because of family connections alone. It came because audiences recognized genuine talent. Her early recordings introduced a songwriter who wasn't afraid to be vulnerable, and fans responded in a way few could have predicted. Before long, Carly Simon was no longer simply the daughter of a famous publisher. She had become an artist with a unique identity, and her journey toward becoming one of America's most beloved singer-songwriters had truly begun. Soon, that growing reputation would lead to the songs that made her a global superstar. One unforgettable hit would spark one of the biggest mysteries in music history, while another would become one of the most iconic movie themes ever recorded. Those songs would change Carly Simon's life forever, but they would also bring challenges she never expected. Carly Simon's rise to fame happened at exactly the right moment. The early 1970s introduced a new generation of singer-songwriters, and her honest lyrics immediately stood out. She had a rare ability to take everyday emotions and turn them into unforgettable music. Listeners didn't just hear her songs, they saw pieces of their own lives reflected in them. That connection helped her build a loyal audience that continued to grow with every release. One of her earliest breakthrough songs was Anticipation. Inspired by a simple moment of waiting, it captured a feeling that everyone could understand. The song proved that Carly had a special talent for finding beauty in ordinary experiences. She didn't need dramatic stories to write powerful music. Small moments, honest emotions, and thoughtful lyrics were enough to leave a lasting impression. Then came the song that would become one of the biggest talking points in music history, You're So Vain. Almost overnight, it became a massive hit. The sharp lyrics, unforgettable chorus, and mysterious message captured people's attention around the world. Fans, reporters, and even celebrities spent decades trying to figure out exactly who inspired the song. Countless names were suggested, and every new interview seemed to spark fresh theories. The mystery became almost as famous as the song itself. Carly never allowed the speculation to overshadow her work. While people argued over hidden meanings, she continued writing music that spoke to universal emotions rather than just personal stories. That balance between honesty and mystery became one of the reasons her songwriting remains so fascinating. Even years later, You're So Vain continues to be discussed as one of the most memorable songs ever written. During this exciting period of her career, Carly also found love with fellow singer-songwriter James Taylor. Together they became one of the most admired couples in the music world. Both were incredibly talented, both were creating unforgettable music, and fans loved seeing two respected artists building a family together. From the outside, their relationship looked like a dream. They welcomed two children and tried to balance family life with demanding careers. But success in the spotlight often comes with pressures that few people can truly understand. Constant attention, busy schedules, and personal struggles slowly placed stress on their marriage. Despite their deep connection, the relationship eventually came to an end. Years later, Carly would openly admit that the separation was one of the most painful experiences of her life. Instead of letting heartbreak define her, she poured those emotions back into her music. That ability to transform personal experiences into songs became one of her greatest strengths. Whether she was singing about love, loss, hope, or disappointment, listeners believed every word because it came from a place of genuine feeling. Her success continued to grow throughout the following years. She recorded unforgettable hits, contributed music to major films, and received some of the entertainment industry's highest honors. Awards recognized her talent, but perhaps her greatest achievement was the connection she built with millions of people who found comfort, strength, and memories in her songs. As the decades passed, Carly Simon remained respected not only as a singer, but as a gifted songwriter whose music stood the test of time. Yet after years of remarkable success, something unexpected began to happen. Public appearances became less frequent, new projects slowed down, and the familiar voice that had once been everywhere slowly faded from view. Fans wondered if she had quietly retired, but the real story was far more personal than anyone realized. As Carly Simon entered her 70s, she was still admired around the world. Her songs continued to reach new audiences. Younger artists praised her influence, and longtime fans hoped they would one day hear another new album. But little by little, she stepped away from the spotlight. Concerts became rare, interviews almost disappeared, and public appearances grew less frequent. There was never a dramatic announcement explaining her absence. Instead, she quietly faded from view, leaving many people wondering what had happened. At first, fans assumed she had simply chosen a quieter life. After decades of recording, touring, and performing, retirement seemed like a reasonable explanation. Others believed she might just be taking a break from the entertainment industry. But as the years passed, the silence continued. There were no major projects, no television appearances, and very few updates about how she was doing. The mystery only became deeper. Behind the scenes, however, Carly was dealing with challenges that few people knew about. According to her statement, she had been learning to live with Parkinson's disease, a condition that affected far more than her physical health. She explained that some of the hardest parts of the illness were not always visible. There were days when finding the energy or motivation to do even simple things became incredibly difficult. It wasn't about losing the desire to create. It was about learning how to work with a body and mind that no longer responded the same way they once had. Around the same period, she also faced another health challenge. Doctors discovered a form of skin cancer on her face, which required surgery. The operation was successful, but recovery brought its own emotional struggles. Like many people, Carly had moments of self-consciousness about the changes she saw in the mirror. Even so, she faced those challenges with the same honesty that had always been present in her songwriting. Rather than pretending everything was perfect, she accepted that life had changed and focused on moving forward. Instead of disappearing completely from music, Carly found a new rhythm. On the days when she felt stronger, she would write lyrics, record melodies, or make notes about ideas she wanted to finish later. Progress was slow, but she refused to stop. Every completed verse and every new melody became another reminder that creativity was still alive inside her. Even if the process looked very different from before, she later explained that music gave purpose to days that often felt uncertain. Working on songs allowed her to focus on something meaningful instead of allowing illness to define every part of her life. The creative process became a source of strength, helping her move forward one step at a time. Rather than seeing herself as someone who had lost everything, she chose to keep building something new. Even if it took years to finish, those quiet years, which many people believed were empty, were actually filled with determination, patience, and hard work. While the public waited for answers, Carly was slowly creating an album that reflected everything she had experienced. It wasn't made in packed arenas or expensive studios surrounded by cameras. It was created during private moments, shaped by resilience and hope. And when she finally decided to share her story, people realized that her silence had never meant she had given up. It meant she had been fighting a battle that most of the world never saw. Carly Simon's story isn't just about awards or hit songs. It's about refusing to let life's hardest moments define who she is. After years of silence, she showed the world that she never stopped creating. Her new album became a symbol of hope, proving that even during difficult times, passion can survive. Today, her music continues to inspire people of every generation. At 81, Carly Simon reminds us that strength isn't about never facing challenges, it's about finding the courage to keep moving forward, one day at a time. Her journey is still being written, and her voice continues to leave a lasting mark on music history.